It's Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. Here's Jeff Parles and Alex White.
Welcome in at Sports by the Book. I'm Jeff Parles. Alex, the Denver Nuggets tied us in Monday's scramble last night.
Yes, they did. I'm Alex White, and if you saw the thumbnail, 8.5 points was not enough for Caitlin Clark and any bettors because New York Liberty looked like the Liberty again, especially Breanna Stewart.
The Fade Clark train is working so far, and until the books adjust, it is going to work for a while. That's all I have to add on that one there, Alex. Let's get into it. The starting five. Swoosh it across the screen. Let's go. There it is. Swoosh. Man, that's a lame one from me. Game 6. Hey, there's New York and Indiana. Those teams playing the NBA tonight on that same court at Gainbridge Coliseum or Fieldhouse, I should say, in Indianapolis. Alex, home team, as we know, undefeated in this series. Indiana, 5.5-point favorites with a total of 215 in this one. Number coming in considerably shorter than it has in the previous games in Indianapolis.
The Knicks closed it out in 6 against the 76ers, hoping to do the same thing tonight in Indiana. Number 2, Florida gets another chance to close out this series. Going to Boston, they do lead 3-2 in the series. Panthers are minus 140 total in that one, 5.5.
Number 3, again, we'll have plenty of thoughts on all these games coming up very shortly. Number 3 is Dallas, who, again, before last night, teams were 0-4, closing things out in the Stanley Cup playoffs second round. Dallas tries to make it 2-4 tonight with a 4-2 series win if they win it tonight in Colorado. Avs are a slight favorite against the Stars at minus 115. Total at 6. Again, Colorado, not shockingly, has been a dominant home team this year.
Yes, they have, but they have not won at home yet in this series. Number 4, though, Paul Skeens gets his second MLB start for the Pirates. Kyle Hendricks on the mound for the Cubs. Pittsburgh, small favorite on the road, minus 114. Total in that one, 7.5.
Very interesting that Skeens sees the same team in his first 2 career starts. Of course, very good in limited action last weekend against the Cubs. Still a little aggravated. He came up one short of that alternate strikeout prop that we took last Saturday, Alex. Needed 8, got 7 because he was pulled early because of the inclement weather coming through Pittsburgh. Kyle Hendricks makes his second start off the IL. He still has an over 10 ERA. It has not been a good start to the year for the professor. And then number 5, it's been an odd day in Louisville, to put it lightly. There was a tragedy outside of Valhalla where there was a bus crash that killed one person. Our thoughts are with that person's family. In the midst of that, afterwards, as they were clearing traffic, Scotty Scheffler was arrested by Louisville Metro Police this morning after trying to enter Valhalla Golf Club. Scheffler faces a few charges. ESPN reporter Jeff Darlington was on the scene. He had his full report. If you want to hear what he had to say about it, it's available all over social media. You can have your own judgment on what happened with the incident involving Scheffler. He is playing. He is 1 under so far today. Xander Schauffele's, of course, monster round yesterday, 9 under, 62. Still good for the lead at the moment. He is 1 shot ahead of a name we did not mention at all this week. Mark Hubbard is at 8 under right now. Solo second, Alex Noren, Tom Kim, Thomas Dietrich, Tony Finau, Sahith Theegala, and Colin Morikawa. We said that name a few times this week. All at 6 under, 3 shots back.
Xander is still the favorite, though,
Yes.
about plus 240. Is that correct?
And that was the last number I saw, yes.
But Scotty right behind him, even though he was 4 back from going into today.
Yeah, Scheffler right now sitting at 5 under, so still 4 back after a birdie on his first. He started on 10, so he's on the back 9. Plus 250 on Xander, 4-1 on Scheffler, 5-1 on Rory McIlroy, Colin Morikawa, 12-1, and then Brooks Koepka, who had a good round yesterday, 5 under, rounding out your top 5 for the odds right now at Valhalla at the PGA Championship, 14-1 on Koepka. There's your starting 5 here for this morning. Alex, let's go to the association. By the way, one other quick note: Matt Neverett joins us in 20 minutes from now. Vinny Magliulo joins us in 40 minutes from now. So we'll double guests here on the show today. All right, let's go. You want to go to Indianapolis?
Well, let's start right
Or
there with the Nuggets.
You want to start with
that,
whatever that was yesterday? Go ahead, Alex.
Was that our score in the scramble?
We had Ryan. We were 2 under, right? I thought we were 2. Oh, so we still lost. Technically we had one more than that. I thought we had 70. Sorry, I thought we were 2 under. Are you sure? Pretty sure we were 2 under. Yeah, I thought we were 2 under. So regardless, Frank wasn't there to judge. He would have said we're 12 under. So regardless as it is, the Nuggets 70 last night. That's it. That's what they're held to. 9 points in the fourth quarter. Don't worry, the game was well over before that anyway. But a 115-70 win. That is the second largest margin of victory by a team facing elimination in NBA playoff history. We have to go back to when the Lakers were playing in Minneapolis for the last time we had a number bigger, Alex. So we're going back 60 plus years, 70 years actually on that for the Minneapolis Lakers. If I read that correctly, it was 1958.
Wow.
Was the when the Lakers staved off elimination, winning a game by more than the 45 points that Minnesota beat Denver by last night. Game 7 is Sunday, so we get an extended rest again. Have they announced the start time yet for that game on Sunday? No, right? I haven't seen one yet. I think they're just waiting on if Indiana and the Knicks go 7. Right now, Denver's 4.5 in Game 7. 198, the total. Money line minus 185 behind us for Game 7 on Sunday.
That is the nice thing about in-game betting, right? We were leaning to taking the Nuggets, but you could tell very early on in that game that Minnesota was on a mission and it was all domination. Second half, Denver kind of waved the flag, only scored 30 points.
Yeah, I think you could say they conceded.
Yeah.
For sure.
So we'll see. I'm excited to have a Game 7, though.
We'll have a full breakdown tomorrow. It'll be interesting to see just how that line moves over the next 48 hours. I would anticipate that total's just going to continue to get smacked down. Now, granted, as we've talked about in this series, now yesterday, if Denver had a normal output of points, that game would have been right around what that total's been all series, which has been in that 204 to 206 pocket. It'll be interesting to see how low this total goes. We know Game 7s historically go under, even though Cleveland and Orlando went over in their Game 7 in round 1. I would expect this number to actually continue to go down. I just want to see what the bottom is here before people start betting this thing over.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, anything under 200 for professional basketball players in the NBA seems wild, but you're right. We've seen these games land right there on the closing number.
Let's look at tonight, though. The Knicks, the Pacers, Game 6 in Indianapolis. Home team hasn't lost. There's no reason for me to move off of what I said at the beginning of the series. I thought it was going to be 7-0 for the home team. We're 5-0 with the home teams right now. Indiana's minus 210 tonight, total 215. 5.5-point favorites. Pacers are at home. If there is a Game 7, quick turnaround, it would be a 3:30 Eastern tip on Sunday.
Well, I do think the Pacers win this game. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people expect. We saw 2 blowouts, one from each side in Game 4 and Game 5. But if you go back to Game 3, when the Knicks played their first game in Indiana, it was a very tight game up until the end. Pacers did not cover that one. The Knicks covered. So I think if you can get enough points here, there is some value on New York. They're the more physical team. They're very motivated. We have our big 3 from Villanova that have carried them this far. And the Pacers, I mean, I still can't get fully behind them with their lack of defense. And like I said, I would prefer the more physical team. I haven't done anything yet. I made this number 5.5. I think that is the correct number. But if I can get in game again, I'll go for the Knicks if it looks right and I can get enough points here.
The Knicks, of course, as you mentioned earlier, did close out last series in Philadelphia, winning that Game 6 on the road and what was a higher scoring game than anticipated in that Game 6. I'm going to stay out. I do expect Indiana to win. I'm not interested in laying over $2 on the money line. I'm not interested in laying 5.5. Indiana's effort in Game 5 stunk, for lack of a better word. Their effort was bad, especially in the second half, in a game where, look, NBA teams, you win Game 5 in a 2-2 series, are over 70% to win that series, historically speaking. It was not good enough from Indiana in a game that you had to have. And now here you are. Again, hold serve at home, but guess what? Someone on the if the Pacers are going to win the series, they have to win a road game. They would have to win Game 7, and I have no confidence in them going to Madison Square Garden, even with a quick turnaround and beating the Knicks. That effort needs to get a lot better for Indiana. And, yeah, I think they win tonight, but those numbers, no thanks. Maybe an in-game scenario, Alex, but if the effort's lacking again and the Knicks are up by like 12 in the first half, yeah, I know those leads go away in a blink in this league, but it's going to be hard for me to get in there at that point.
Well, I mean, looking at last night, it is so important to bring up how hard it is for a team to close out the series. When they have those 3 wins and the other team is in elimination, I mean, we see it with hockey. We've seen it. Finally, the Rangers got it done last night, but we got the best effort from the Timberwolves last night. I think we will get the best effort from the Pacers tonight as well. So it does make this game very tough to handicap.
Again, if we get a Game 7, there'll be 2 on Sunday. This would be the early game, and then I would imagine the Nuggets and the Timberwolves will go late. I don't know what they're going to do if the Knicks close this thing out. We'll hopefully find that out by tomorrow, and we'll be able to tell you on the show tomorrow. Alex, real quick, before we move along, 2 games in a W tonight. Connecticut, 9 at home against the Mystics. I would argue the Mystics are the worst team in the league, even though they look totally reasonable on opening night in a close loss to the Liberty. And then Seattle, who high expectations for the Storm, and on opening night as a nice-sized favorite against this Minnesota team they'll play tonight in Minneapolis, and got handled pretty easily. A 13-point win for the Lynx on the road in that one, and Seattle's still a 2-point favorite tonight on the road in Minneapolis.
I think this number is right. I made it pick, and then since they did just play each other, gave the Storm 2 points as revenge here, but Minnesota looked great. I forgot how good Collier is and how much she can carry this team. I'm staying away from this one. I do have a play on that first game with the Mystics and Sun. You said it. I mean, I know New York wasn't in their prime just yet in the first game, and we saw it even with the Aces who didn't cover in their first one. Last night we saw it from the Liberty. That was the true Liberty team, but I was really impressed with the Mystics defense in that one and holding New York to just 85 points. On the flip side, Connecticut is the best defense in the league right now. They have the best defensive rating. So I expect a lower scoring game. I'm going to go ahead and just go under in that first half, though. I think I have it on the other sheet. It's 80. But now if that game total went under, moved down already, the first half probably did it as well.
So I have a question for you on something you just said there, because, again, we talk about this early in seasons. 1 game sample size with all these ratings. How much do you take from just the 1 game? And look, for Connecticut, it was 1 game against the young team in Indiana, who was, again, it was Clark's first game. And as we are going to learn pretty quickly, it's going to take some time for that Indiana team to figure themselves out and for Clark to figure out the league. I just wonder, again, like, I'm not saying the handicap's I'm not saying the handicap isn't correct and we'll end up winning with ease. But I'm just curious how much of last year's numbers hop in and how much of, hey, this was 1 game for this year. How much can we really take from that?
Great question. I say a lot of last year's actually do, especially if they have a majority of their starting 5 returning, where you look at Seattle, that was a little eye-opening, right? Because they do have such a new, fresh team there. We all had them power rated very high, but they haven't really clicked just yet. But yeah, you can't take too much from 1 game, but also we only have 40, so you kind of got to move quickly and adjust as each game goes on.
Now, I did that. The last point, I think, again, there are going to be a lot of new eyeballs on this league this year. Remember, it's only a 40. It used to be, it was 34. They added 6. They added 6 games to go to 40. I don't think they're done adding games, personally, but at least this year it's 40 still in the regular season, so all right, 1 out of 82 is a heck of a lot different than 1 out of 40 for figuring out your numbers, moving your numbers, being more aggressive and moving your numbers based off a smaller sample size than you normally would do in these longer sports with like football, or unlike football, baseball, basketball, hockey.
Exactly, just like football, because you're just really updating once a week with them. So,
all right, we'll take a quick break. We get back, we'll go to the ice. 2 games tonight. Florida and Dallas look to close out their cold weather city counterparts tonight. And Matt Neverett will join us in 10 minutes as well. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rockin' dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grand View Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show, every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grand View Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grand View Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Welcome back in. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. See, Drew Dog sneezed in the corner, and then everything slowed down to a crawl. That was Alex. That's the movie effect. It's just a Drew Dog sneeze. It's not an actual editing feature.
Correct. And Drew Dog with 3 G's, so that might have had an influence.
Only 3? Only 3? I thought we were up to 5 now. Oh. He's got to. It's like the Ohio State helmet stickers. You just got to keep the more good things you do, the more for Drew, the more G's you get on the end of dog. It's good. I like that. All right. Sports by the Book is the show. Matt Never joins us shortly. Alex, to the ice we go. Last night, this will come off a little harsh, but I think it's fair. Carolina choked last night. And I know it's maybe a little bit unfair where they were in a 3-0 hole. They were so almost out of it completely. But give a hat trick to Chris Kreider in the third period alone.
Yeah.
And in the end, the Rangers win 5-3. They move on. They avoid having to even play a Game 7 and what would have been a full, hey, this is all on you guys. You can't be the 5th team to blow a 3-0 lead, especially in the year where you won the President's Trophy. But in the end, just to do a quick little autopsy on Carolina, this group that had all this talent for years, this was year 3 of being a high-end team, Alex. They made one Eastern Conference final. They won 0 games in that Eastern Conference final. And here they are, once again, because their goaltending fails them, in a position where this is going to be a very uncomfortable offseason in Raleigh for a team that, quite frankly, should have at least already busted through with a Cup final appearance and probably should have busted through with a Cup period at this point.
Wow. I would definitely say an appearance to the Cup playoffs at least. But, I mean, they did just add some pieces after or before the trade deadline, so I think they got better in that sense. We'll see what they do with the goaltending. But, I mean, you really have to give credit to the Rangers, too. I mean, they never gave up, and they were in that all the way till the end.
Look, if you look at the analytic numbers, Carolina had the better to play in this series.
Yes, they did.
And Shesterkin was great for the most part, and the Rangers made the plays that they had to in games 2 and 3, and they made, and Kreider probably going to get his jersey retired at some point at Madison Square Garden did what he had to do last night. And for the Rangers, they move on. The longer the Florida-Boston series goes, the better for the Rangers. It's going to be interesting to see if Florida does finish this off at some point. I expect to have the same take I had in the others in this series. Florida will probably be favored without home ice. I don't think that's right. I think home ice will matter in a Florida-New York series. And it's one of those, again, where I would favor Shesterkin over Bobrovsky, even though I trust Bobrovsky a lot more than whoever's in net for Carolina. We just know that Bobrovsky's variance is a lot more than everybody else's.
Honestly, I think the Rangers have a nice clear path now. I think
clear path. Wow.
Not clear, an easier path. I think Carolina was by far the hardest team that they have to face. I think Florida is a version of Carolina. They're fast, not a great defensive team, and a little above average goalie, not an elite goalie. So I think the Rangers are looking good for the Eastern.
I don't know why my brain went to this, but when you said the clear path, all I can envision was a Zamboni just clearing the way to the Cup final for the Rangers. Who, again, if it's New York and Dallas or New York and Colorado, buckle up because that series will be awesome. If it's the winner of the Canadian series, Rangers should be. I know that Edmonton would be. I don't know how that series would be lined at this point, but it would be an autoplay on the Rangers if Edmonton somehow made the Cup final. For Vancouver would be interesting because Vancouver has found this way that has at least been annoying to teams that seemingly are very talented, to say the very least, including last night where Vancouver did it again, 3-2. Winner last night. Seeloves was good enough. Pickard was actually had the best goaltending performance of any Edmonton goaltender in this series, but it wasn't enough last night. 3-2. Vancouver now favored in the series, and kind of goes to what we said last night. I thought if you liked Vancouver in the game last night, you should take a splash on the series price. Now you already have a plus money winner in your pocket on the game from last night, and you now have this amazing price on Vancouver where if you wanted to double back on Edmonton, I wouldn't have a problem with that if you wanted to lock something in on that sort of bet.
You said that, and I completely agreed, and I forgot to actually make the bet myself.
Well, you know what I did? I did something even more stupid than that. I forgot to bet the game, but I bet the series. So now, I could lock it in still. I could still lock in Edmonton. But I don't know. I think Vancouver's going to win this series at this point. I don't see much of a reason. Well, there is a reason to hedge, but I don't love hedging when it's one of those where it wasn't a big enough bet to justify a hedge. Like if it was a bigger bet, yeah, I probably would try to double back and at least lock something in. But I don't think at least for me, it was not a big enough bet in order to justify that.
Tough part is they are going back to Edmonton now, so they will have a home game. But regardless, even if it goes to Game 7, I lean towards the Canucks right now.
We'll have a full breakdown of that tomorrow. Edmonton's minus 185, plus 165 on a take back on Vancouver with a total of 6 tomorrow in north of the border there in Edmonton, Alberta. The 2 games tonight, Florida, great Swayman performance in Game 5. He was awesome. As good as the best performance he's had all postseason. Boston had a 3-1 lead against Toronto. It went to Game 7. They survived it in double overtime against Toronto. Now they're trying to get it down 3-1 back to a Game 7 down in South Florida. But Florida's favorite tonight, $1.40, plus 120 on a take back on Boston, Alex.
These two series are very similar, right? Both of them had a 3-1 lead. Now we have the home team here who gets a shot. It is 3-2 for both of them. I think this number is right on the side. I am going for another under. I know last night did not pay out for me with the Rangers and Canes, but these two, the last 2 games have gone under 5.5. Swayman's been playing awesome, and it's going to be really tight. It's still an elimination game for the Bruins, so I like under 5.5. If you made me pick a side, I would lean towards Boston, though, at that plus 120.
I'm going to throw my hands up and say let's go to the next game on this one because I have no idea what's going to happen here. Brad Marchand is a game-time decision. Missed Game 5, as we know, and Game 4. And most of Game 4, I should say. I don't know.
If you said let's go to the next one, that means
Well, let's just go to the next one. I don't have a play on this game. I want to see how it plays out, at least early, scoring chances wise early in this one. Bruins, by the way, to just do our due diligence. Bruins are plus 475 if you want them to take them to come back to win this series at this point, winning Game 6 and Game 7. That would be your price on that. All right, this is the better game today, at least to me. Colorado's $1.15 favorite against Dallas, total of 6. Alex, I would lean to Colorado. I know Colorado's lost the 2 games in Denver. This just kind of screams now after Dallas missed an opportunity to finish it off in Game 5. Kind of screams Game 7 yet again with these 2 teams that right now it's just going to be a matter of what do they have left in the tank. But the one good thing about that is that other series looks like it's probably going 7 as well.
Yes, it does look like it's going 7 as well. I'm with you. I like Colorado in this one. Minus 115. I made them minus 130. Add in a little bit for the elimination here. I think that's a great price on the Avs at home. Now, Colorado has outshot Dallas in most of these games, so we're going to get that from them at least. And they've been very good on the power play. 10 of 29. That is 34.5%. They lead the league in scoring in the playoffs, averaging 4.2 goals per game. So I don't think there's any reason not to take that small price on the Avs at home. Keep this thing going.
It will be a fascinating game tonight in Denver. Again, winner of this. If there's a Game 7, it'll be Sunday in Dallas. And the winner of this series, by the way, will also have home ice in the following round if Edmonton wins. Dallas will have it regardless. If Colorado plays Edmonton, it will be a home ice for Colorado. And Vancouver would have home ice over the Avs if we happen to get that series. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we get back, Matt Neverett will join us next. The Dancing Bears and all will be with us next. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rockin' dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grand View Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show, every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grand View Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grand View Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White is here now joining us. You see him every once in a while on this desk. You saw him earlier in the week where Frank Nicotero damaged company property, and he was on the call for it. You also hear him on Las Vegas Aviators broadcast as well. Our guy, Matt Neverett. There he is. Look at him. Look at him. Grateful Dead opening the Sphere yesterday. The Bears all ready to go. Good to see you, buddy. How you doing this morning?
Happy to help you guys out. Love coming on with you guys. Yeah, no, I had to represent. I think some of the visuals that came out from Dead and Company were crazy yesterday. I'm going to try to get tickets for next weekend.
So I just want to ask you real quick, because of course the viral moment that has helped us out here at the studio. What was going through your mind throughout everything where Frank Nicotero was allowed to have a golf club on set and promptly chaos ensued?
See, a peek behind the curtain, guys, is that when Frank originally set up, when he originally addressed that ball in the theoretical sand, he was about 3 steps closer to the camera and further away from the desk. And then as soon as we were getting ready to go back on air, he took a couple of shuffle steps back towards me and the desk, and I didn't think anything of it. And when he hit the TV, if you hear me, I said, "Oh," and he broke the TV. I couldn't see. That was a
Right.
guess. I just heard golf club hit television and assumed bad things happen, like typically does in that situation. And I will give myself a pat on the back for not immediately busting out laughing. I'm glad I waited about 20 seconds because that was one of the funnier moments I've ever been a part of on live television.
Yeah, I don't know how you kept a serious face there, Matt. You actually kept going with the golf call.
I said it. I think I posted it on Instagram. I think when I shared the story, I said I've never felt both more and less like Jim Nance at the same time in my entire life.
Very good.
Oh, man. I mean, we have it? Yeah, all right. Here's the clip we're referring to right
Might
now.
as
I'm
well.
never going to say no to watching this.
Hey there, Punchies. Nicotero from 145 out.
Yeah, so he was like a
Hitting
step
out
or
of the
two
sand.
closer to the camera when he
2
originally
shots behind
set
the
up,
leader.
and when we took the air and he backed away.
And he breaks the desk.
He broke the
And
monitor.
He was dead honest convinced that
broke
by
Exactly how he drew it up.
that it was going to fix it.
Oh, you're
It
making
looks
it
like worked
worse.
for about a half a second.
This is live television, folks.
Oh my God.
I'll be honest with you. I thought it was the least surprising thing that's ever occurred in this studio that happened.
And the best part is Chris Andrews came in immediately after the show and, kind of was giving Frank a hard time. And he turned to me and he goes, if I were to set odds on who were to break the studio first out of the whole crew, it would have been Frank minus $1 million.
Oh, I agree with that 100%. Either, well, more likely accidentally than intentionally, like that was, of course, a pure
1,000,000%.
accident. But
And hey, shout out to Jerry Trevino. You guys were getting ready to film your PGA Tour Championship special about an hour later. I think on a different day, they might have just left that monitor as a reminder of what not to do on live television, but they needed it to have the set for the Tour Championship special ready to go. So Jerry was about 2 minutes after we took the air underneath the desk, inside of the desk, fixing that TV and putting a new one in there. So shout out to Jerry.
Well, shout out to Jerry for a
Yes.
multitude of reasons, but another one there.
Yeah.
I will say, I'm sure Ann will disapprove what I'm about to say here, but if we did not have the PGA Championship special right after that, it would have been very, very funny if we just either left it there or went totally blank no monitor as a reminder to Frank breaking the television. Television is still in studio. Frank is threatening to sign it and sell it on eBay. So just so everyone is aware of that. All right, man. Let's talk a little baseball here, man.
Let's do it.
I just want to ask you here, the Phillies. They did lose last night, even though the Mets did their best Mets deal of trying to lose that game. But the Phillies are 17 games over 500 right now. It's May 17th. They have the best record in baseball. Do you buy that the Phillies are as good as they've shown so far this year? Or are you in the camp of, hey, the Braves and the Dodgers are still better, and that will play out over time?
I think my answer is both, to be honest
Okay.
with you. Partially due to the fact that, yes, I do think that the Phillies are legit. They've got a pitching staff that is really, really tough. Ranger Suarez is doing some unprecedented things as far as his career goes. Aaron Wheeler has been phenomenal this year, or Zach Wheeler has been phenomenal this year, rather. They've got a really good offense, obviously, as well, with former UNLV Rebel Bryson Stott, chief among them. Totally kidding. Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, and this team has been on a really hot start. But you have to keep in mind they have not played the type of schedule that you would think. They've played 5 games against teams over 500 on the year. They have had a very, very soft schedule to this point. So, like I said, both can be true. I think that they are a legitimate playoff team and a legitimate contender. The Braves and the Dodgers, as you had said, still legitimately the favorites and should be for good reason. But I think the Phillies right behind them and rightfully so. And I want to put out a petition for them to wear those the powder blues every opportunity they get that they wore last night, because I love that look.
I want to ask you about the Pirates here, Matt. I jumped on board, followed some of the studio people. I took their win total over. Started out really good, but now, of course, we do have some good pitching coming up. Even Paul Skeens is starting again tonight. Where are you at right now with the Pirates? Do you think we still have a winner with the win total over?
I do. That's one that I'm on as well, over 74. They won 73 games last year. I think this is a team that is 2 games better than that team last year. The pitching has been the strength, as you had alluded to. Paul Skeens throwing today, and I am on the Pirates on the run line today. I got plus 150 right behind you guys against Kyle Hendricks. I'll fade the professor at this point in the year. But you got Skeens. Jared Jones is one of the more unheralded stud pitching prospects that we've seen come up this year. Him and Skeens, the number 1 and 2 pitching prospects in baseball. And you're not hearing nearly as much about Jared Jones, who throws just about equally as hard. 6 innings against the Cubs last night in a win. He did not face a 3-ball count in 6 innings against the Cubs last night, which is crazy for another guy that throws 100 miles an hour. Yeah, you got Paul Skeens going tonight. I'm on the Pirates run line, and I'm on Skeens 7+ strikeouts. I think they untether the leash a little bit and let him stretch it out just a bit against this Cubs team who he pitched against in his major league debut. The issue for the Buccos has been the offense. The offense and the lineup setting, to be honest with you guys. Connor Joe has been the best hitter on the team consistently throughout the year, and he doesn't play every day because they need to justify the $2 million they're paying Rowdy Tellez to play him at first base, and he's really, really struggling. But the $4 million that they paid to Michael A. Taylor has already paid off. You've got Andrew McCutchen as a leader on that team. A lot of the young guys looking up to him. When Brian Reynolds comes back, they'll have a legitimate platinum glover at third base. Brian Reynolds in the outfield is one of the few bright spots offensively, but the issues have been Jack Sawinski really, really struggling, especially against left-handed pitching, and then Henry Davis down in AAA Indy right now and struggling just about as bad as he did when he was with the Pirates earlier in the year. I saw a graphic today, the number 1 and 2 overall picks in 2021 were Henry Davis out of Louisville and Jack Leiter out of Vanderbilt, and they are both in AAA as we speak and both really, really struggling. So that just kind of speaks to the difference between, different draft classes. We're hearing that about the NBA draft class this year. There really isn't a bona fide number 1, and that was the case in that 2021 MLB draft, and we're kind of seeing that start to bear fruit. But the Pirates are a really exciting team to watch. O'Neal Cruz might be a top 5 favorite player of mine in Major League Baseball, but if they can hit semi-consistently, the pitching's going to be there. They've got a great back end of the bullpen, and over 74. I still like it at this point in the year, even though they're 5 games under right now.
There's too many Pittsburgh people in this studio. That's my takeaway from everything. Too many Pittsburgh people.
Blame Chrissy for that one.
Oh, I will not, Matt. I can tell you that. I'm not going to upset the boss.
You like gainful employment.
Yeah, I do. I really do, actually. Looking at today's card, Matt, I know you already said you're on the Pirates run line. You like Skeens plus 7 or more strikeouts, so over 6.5. Just check your book, see what options they're dishing on Skeens. They're going to run up some alternate ones as well. Anything else you're looking at on this card here today on a Friday?
I got 2 other games that I'm keeping an eye on. Both of them in the National League. I like the Mets over the Marlins today. Christian Scott versus Jesus Luzardo, the pitching matchup. Scott's another big-time mega prospect who's making his 3rd major league start. He's gone 6 innings or more in each of his first 2 outings, and something's got to give for him, guys. He has 14 strikeouts to 3 walks, over 12 2/3 innings in the big leagues, and he's 0-1. He's got a 2.84 ERA over those 2 starts. The lowly Marlins really, really struggling and kind of regressing to the mean after that 11-0 start. So I will go with the Mets. I got 113 again behind you guys at South Point. And then the other one I'm looking at is the Giants. I'm going to go on the run line against the Rockies. The Rockies really struggling away from Coors Field, as is typical. Kyle Harrison, really fastball-dependent pitcher in a big-time ballpark at Oracle. Harrison's 3-1 with a 3.32 ERA. He's limiting opponents to a 240 batting average again, so missing a lot of bats. This is a Rockies team that swings and misses a lot of injury concern. Another year, another Chris Bryant injury that's going to cost him a lot of time. But I really like Kyle Harrison. He's got a weird shape on his fastball, the heavy 2-seam action running away from left-handed batters, and he might have a top 3 changeup in Major League Baseball right now. So I'm going to go with Kyle Harrison on the run line. I actually got plus 140 on the run line. So, yeah, Giants run line, Pirates run line. You can get both of those at plus money, and then I'm going to go with the Mets. I gave out a couple of run line plays the other day when I was on with Frank, and they both hit in the Reds and the Braves on that particular day. So I'm riding the momentum with 2 of my 3 plays on the run line.
Very good. And he has been bragging about that the last few days for you. Matt, you call every Aviators road game. How do we listen to those? And give me your initial thoughts on this AAA team here in Las Vegas.
Yeah, so we're on locally, Raider Nation Radio, AM 920. It's the Raiders flagship station. You can find the online stream as well. I think it's lvsportsnetwork.com. But if you Google Raider Nation Radio, AM 920 live feed, you can listen. You can also watch it on milb.tv. We do a simulcast feed as well that I'm really proud of. And a lot of the areas that we have stepped it up on the production end. It's interesting. It is an interesting team being the AAA affiliate of the A's. There's a lot of roster movement day in, day out, but there's some really exciting names to keep an eye on. The middle infield, chief among them. You've got Jacob Wilson, who's the son of former All-Star shortstop Jack Wilson. He is a bat-to-ball fiend, a less than 10% strikeout rate in his professional career so far. He struck out less than 5% of the time in 2 years at Grand Canyon in college. He's a really exciting shortstop prospect. And then his high school teammate, his buddy up the middle, and Max Muncy, the other Max Muncy. He is another top 10 prospect and a former first-round pick. Keep an eye on Logan Davidson. That's the name that I think is going to really get a shot at his first crack at the major leagues. First-round pick in 2019 out of Clemson. He's a switch hitter. He plays, I think, 5 different positions. He plays all 4 infield positions, both left and right field, so that's 6. And he's one of those guys where you ask him, hey, which side of the plate do you like to hit better from? He said, whatever side I'm up is the side that I like hitting better from. And it's tough to get info out of him because you ask him, hey, what position do you like playing? Oh, whatever gets me in the lineup. So he's a gamer. He's coming around with the bat, and I think he's out for his first crack at the big leagues. And keep an eye on the name Michel Otanez out of the bullpen. He's in his 3rd organization, never pitched in the big leagues, has a legitimate 100-mile-an-hour fastball and a wipeout slider. I think those 2 guys, Davidson and Otanez, are going to be kind of more unheralded names to keep an eye on getting their first crack at the major league so far.
He's Matt Neverett again. You see him on Aviators broadcasts. You see him here every once in a while on our show, on Frank's show at Punchlines. And you saw him here today, here on Sports by the Book. Matt, pleasure as always, man. We'll see you again soon.
Happy to join. Hey, as long as I'm not smashing any monitors.
Yeah, please don't do that. And keep your laptop screen clean as
Just
well,
the
man.
one.
So, Matt Neverett, everyone. We'll take a quick break. Vinny Magliulo will be on set when we get back. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south-of-the-border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside. Or maybe you're in the mood for seafood. Big Sur Oyster Bar has fresh seafood prepared right before your eyes. Savor freshly shucked oysters, crab legs jambalaya, shrimp and lobster. Beers on tap and a selection of fine wines are perfect to pair with your seafood favorite. Whether lunch or dinner, you'll love this fun atmosphere, located just off the casino floor. Ready to shake things up? Step back in time and treat yourself to one of the oldest restaurant chains in the country. Steak and Shake, famous for original mouth-watering steak burgers and hand-dipped milkshakes in a variety of flavors. For some old-fashioned fun, try Steak and Shake.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. I'm Jeff Parles. Alex White is here as well, and now joining us, as always, he's got even more than usual today. It's more spread out. Vinny Magliulo is here.
I have multiple screens open.
Yeah, you got
my laptop.
You're almost disheveled over there.
No.
Oh, I said almost. I didn't say you're
I know-
actually disheveled.
I know
You're-
exactly. I'm like Oscar Madison. I know where exactly where everything is.
Very good, Vinny.
You like that?
Very
That
good.
reference?
Very good.
All right.
Vinny, welcome back.
Yes.
We missed you last week.
Yes.
You were in New Jersey.
Yes.
You,
and everybody says hello.
I would be surprised if they didn't. Vinny, I will say because you were there, of course, in Hall of Fame inductions last week. Of course, Richie Bachelari went in, and Jay Cornegay went in.
Two good friends.
Two people that you've known for a long time. Two people that are what's right about this industry.
No doubt. Two great guys. Two good operators. Of course, I know Rich when he first got into the business. We met at Caesars in the summer of 1986, and then a little bit after that, a few years later, Jay came down from up north, from up in Lake Tahoe in Reno, and started at the MGM, the original MGM, which is, let's see now,
Well,
it's gone
that's
through
Horseshoe
several
now.
iterations. MGM to Bally's to now the Horseshoe,
Yeah.
and he was there in the race book, and then got recruited over to the Imperial Palace, which is now the Link, on that site right in that area there. So Jay was there, and then he took over after Art Manteris left the Las Vegas Hilton, which is now the Westgate. Jay runs the Westgate. So two great guys, and happy for them. It was an honor to induct them into the SBC Hall of Fame. So a good time, a good event. We were at Red Bull Arena, so there was a little on-field activity. I'll see if I can get some.
Anyone get injured this go around?
There were no. I'm happy to say no injuries that were reported.
Remember, it was just the MetLife turf that got everyone.
Yeah, it was no doubt.
It wasn't that people that were running around and haven't played football in years. It was that the MetLife turf just took someone else.
No comparison. No, there's no substitute for the real grass. You have to have grass. So fortunately, I think that was very helpful, especially when you're in dress shoes. Everybody was upright. Good stuff.
And you were emceeing the.
I did.
event?
Yes, I did. I was the MC again, and which was very nice of them to ask, and kept it moving, and it was a lot of fun. Stacy Alonso, a long-time Las Vegas casino representative over the years, who also was not only in player development and things like that, but Stacy was also at one time on the Nevada Athletic Commission, and did a wonderful job there. She had a couple of runs at both the Las Vegas Hilton, and then over at Station Casino. So really good. It was a good class of folks out there, and again, it was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed doing the MC.
Vinny, this weekend, of course, the second race of the Triple Crown. We have not mentioned it much on this show. The Preakness Stakes for
That's
the
right.
149th time. What they're doing? 2 more runs at Pimlico, and then they're revamping everything there, right?
Yeah, I think. Pimlico's, in fact,
It's in need of a revamp.
it definitely needs it. In fact, there's portions that are not even accessible.
Yeah.
Because of code, and so. But it's still it's still the second leg of the Triple Crown. Not as big a field as the Derby, right? And in fact, we had 9 horses originally, but one got scratched, which is a kind of a bit of a subplot, right? It was one of Bob Baffert's entries, Muth, which was actually going to be the favorite in the race. So no longer. When Muth arrived in Maryland, he spiked the fever, so got scratched. So still 8 horses. Of course, the Derby winner, Mystic Dan, will probably now is on the morning line favorite, right around 5-2. So Mystic Dan is the favorite there. But there's a couple of other horses that I think. Well, you want to watch how the track comes up weather-wise. There's a report that there may be some rain again in Pimlico. unlike Churchill Downs, remember we talked a little bit about it. The track didn't come up quite officially off, but it was a little bit muddy, and I think that helped Mystic Dan actually.
Vinny, you said that to me right after our show. We were leaving, and I was looking at a head-to-head. I was like, Mystic Dan versus I don't remember who it was. But I was like, that should be good, right? And you were like, wait and make sure it's not too muddy because that will actually help him.
Yeah, I think the weather helped. But it was a great race. Look, I mean, the finish was tremendous,
all timer.
And Churchill does a great job of sealing the track.
Right.
I'm not so sure that it's not quite as a bunch of factor. I don't think it's as good a job. Not to knock Pimlico, but I think if it's going to be muddy, it's going to be muddy. So we'll have to see how it plays out. But still, with that, I think you have to look at Mystic Dan. And there's a couple of other horses. Catching Freedom, number 3 with Flavian Pratt, I think warrants consideration. And good friend of ours, a great handicapper, Lou D'Amico, who I worked with at Caesars and over the years has been a terrific operator. He knows your dad, Alex Louis, a great guy, good horse handicapper, likes Tuscan Gold at 8-1. So take a look, and also watch the earlier races because again, you want to watch how the track is playing out, so to speak. So what's the track bias? Is it playing fast again? What in conjunction with the weather? Is there a speed bias inside or outside? How that? So pay attention to the earlier races, even if you're not going to bet them.
So Catching Freedom, Mystic Dan, and then there's one other that was in the Kentucky Derby. Is that correct? 3?
It was Just Steel, right?
Which one?
Catching Freedom, Mystic Dan,
and Just Steel.
Just Steel.
Yeah,
So
seven horse.
3.
Yeah.
So only 2 weeks rest. Does that come into the handicap?
You know what? Alex, probably more so now than years past. And I'll tell you, again, I'll do a little bit of dating here, right? I mean, you think about it, even the last couple of generations, previous, horses ran a lot more. So, look, we've had Triple Crown winners under the 5-week format, the 5 weeks being 2 weeks between the Derby and the Preakness, and then 3 weeks to the Belmont Stakes. There seemed to be a bit of a run, a more of a run in the late 70s, with Secretariat and those great races between Aladar and Affirmed. So, the Secretariat was the early 70s. But, when you look at it, horses are just not bred these days to have that compact a racing schedule, and 5 difficult races over 3 difficult races over 5 weeks is a challenge. But that's the format, and if you have a choice to participate or not, I think certainly Mystic Dan, he's going to try to win this race and put himself in a position to win the Triple Crown. Which, by the way, this year, just let's remember. Speaking of renovations at racetracks, there are renovations and construction going on at Belmont. The Belmont Stakes this year will be at Saratoga in 3 weeks.
So some Mystic Dan completes it. Some people will throw asterisks on this thing, even though that's nonsense.
Why? Because it's at
Exactly.
Saratoga.
Exactly. It's nonsense if they do that.
Listen,
but,
it's still going to be a mile and a half. Saratoga's
it's an amazing place.
Terrific
place.
track. I mean, you look at it's one of the best meets of the year.
Yeah, I would
Saratoga
argue it's the
summer meet.
Other than
Yeah,
we're a little biased out here because it feels like the whole city goes to Del Mar.
Well, yeah, everybody escapes to Del Mar, but actually the fields are actually bigger.
Oh no, I know.
Fuller fields at Saratoga, and of course you have the Travers, which is one of the best races of the year. Race. So, look, things come up, and the tracks needed attention. Although in the case of Belmont, there's some other things going on there too with the gaming and.
Also, just back on this field, Seize the Gray was in the Pat Day last at Churchill, right? Just 2 weeks ago,
a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
So a horse that's on.
Yeah, another horse that's run there. I mean, look, again, just watch what's happening in those earlier races, because it's the 13th race on the card tomorrow. So you're going to get a really good gauge as to how the track is playing out. Look for horses or speed horses prevailing. And again, this is a different race, right? It's the shortest race at a mile and a 16th. Of course, the Travers, the Belmont will be a mile and a half, and the Derby was a mile and a quarter. So also the size of this field is a factor, right? The Derby, that 20 horse field is a great equalizer. Kind of brings a lot of horses, into the picture, as we saw. So, but look, it's still the Triple Crown, and I always enjoy it.
So, Vinny, win totals are now up for the NFL.
Yeah.
Schedule's out. Just go through the process here, and then when should we expect Week 1 numbers to start appearing?
I'm going
here?
to chat with Chris Andrews. So now you have, we put up the Super Bowl, just the sequence of things, the Super Bowl futures right at, around Super Bowl week. And then after that, after Super Bowl, you wait a bit and you watch what's happening, free agent signings primarily and things like that. With the free agent signings, then the conferences went up. Then, of course, the draft came about, adjustments were made, and not just by virtue of the players selected, but the cluster of players selected and any other trades that went down. And so the divisions are also up. And what we waited for the regular season wins was we knew the opponents, right? The NFL had put out the home and away games of all opponents and the crossover from conference divisions and so forth. However, when the schedule came out a couple of days ago, it was about the sequence of those games, right? And for instance, you look at the Raiders, right? I think in the first 3 weeks they crisscrossed the country like 3 times. You also a little bit of a factor you want to look at is mile. How about that travel? And of course, you look at the travel, and there's a considerable difference between, let's say, the Chargers, who again, I used the term. I was on with Frank yesterday. They may as well be called the Magellans, right? Because they're going to circumnavigate the globe when you look at over 26,000 miles to travel compared to Washington, who really, has it a lot easier, and travel can become a factor. Travel you have to take that into consideration. It's a 17-game season, so you want to. That was something that we watched pretty closely, and whether it was it a half a game, maybe in some cases, but also more so probably an adjustment in the juice from. Maybe 10 to 20 cents here and there. So those are up. And now today, when Chris gets in, we'll figure out a time when he decides. Shortly, we will put up Week 1 of the season, and of course, the fact that we'll have all summer to book Week 1 is why Week 1 is one of the highest handled weeks of the season. You look at Week 1, you look at Thanksgiving weekend. Is another huge handle. But when you have about 4 months to book Week 1, and folks who are not going to be here for Week 1, they come in during their vacations and their visits, and they can always play into those games.
NBA and NHL playoffs handle has still been very good,
very strong, and of course, the more we get into games 6s and 7s, I know it's kind of a nail biter for the fans, but it's also. You have to take into consideration the handicap, and the handle's been great. I mean, the NBA especially, right, in that first round is always just gets everybody's interest, because I think people have a more of a comfort level of who's going to play, right? I mean, it's not like there's load management going on. If there's somebody's not playing, it's because they're hurt. But now the NHL, I mean. Took a bit of a hit, but not a huge hit. I mean, with the Golden Knights getting bounced in the first round, but there's still a lot of interest in you look at the Dallas Colorado series. There was great interest in the Rangers and Carolina because Carolina was such a team that really got a lot of respect from bettors and pros that really follow it. I mean, and when you look at that series, even though the Rangers prevailed in 6 games, those games could have gone either way. I mean, they were close games, and Carolina could have easily won that series, but they didn't, and the Rangers moving on. So marquee teams still there, and it's a great. I guess you could call Vancouver a bit of a Cinderella when you look at it, especially with a goaltender.
Third goaltender.
Yeah.
They've done a great job of limiting opponents' scoring chances.
Yeah.
That's all they've done in this postseason, and may be good enough to at least make the West Final. I don't think it'll be good enough to beat whoever wins Dallas and Colorado, but hey,
I don't know.
It's a good enough blueprint.
If Pedersen gets going, I mean, let's face it, he has not been a huge factor in terms of scoring. But look, it's the playoffs are great, and people love them, and we love booking them. So things are great, and of course, PGA handle has been very good too because it moved from August.
I just want to ask you, did Chris give you a couple baseball games that were being bet a lot? Because I believe the Phillies, right, Jeff, has dropped.
You mean in terms of the futures?
No, just for today's
games
action.
Today.
No, I mean, when you look at today's card, I mean, the good thing about baseball is too that it's still strong because it's every day, and you'll still get the angles of if there's a team going for a sweep. Today's obviously game 1, right, of for the weekend series, but especially during the week, there's always an angle with baseball. So nothing really out of sorts with it.
Phillies 280 to 230 tonight.
Oh, Phillies are
Phillies have been the Nats have been hit tonight based off of that under in the Cubs and Pirates game, which we talked about earlier, another big one, which again is Paul Skeens making his second career start. Well,
if you look at the Phillies are, you can make a case that they're the best team. And I know the Dodgers have they're with their record and their lineup and everything, but Philly, they brought about 18, almost 20 players back from a really solid team last year, and they're getting good pitching, timely hitting. And so, the Phillies continue to get played, particularly by the public in parlays. I mean, it's always about. I think they're starting to supplant the Astros, and with the Yankees and the Dodgers, you've seen a lot more Philly interest, and I don't blame them.
Vinny, it's always a pleasure. We'll see you again tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning, we'll do it again.
We'll also see Lou Finacaro tomorrow morning as well at 9:15. Alex, we have plenty to talk about tomorrow. We'll have some NBA to get to, some hockey, more baseball. We'll also have a preview of Frank Nicotero's comedic outing at Jimmy Kimmel, which he is performing tonight. He's also performing twice tomorrow night.
We'll also finally get into NFL and
That
some win
as well.
totals that we are looking at.
Yes, and you also can see Frank Nicotero at noon today. Ryan McCormick, who's coming up.
Alex White is going to be joining the show. We've got a fun show getting prepared for you guys. We're going to have our parlay. Frank, Alex, Ryan, we're all going to give picks to build a parlay. And so stick around on the YouTube channel. We've got another show coming up at noon.
There you go, noon. That's what Ryan McCormick looks like, by the way, everyone, if you did not know what Ryan McCormick looks like. Coming your way at noon, Punchlines, Frank Nicotero, Ryan McCormick, Alex White. We'll see you again tomorrow on this show at 9 a.m. Good work, Drew Dog and Jerry. Always a pleasure. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.